Good morning. I will call the September 3rd, 2025 Norfolk Planning Commission meeting to order. Excuse me. Inform the public of the Open Meetings Act posted in the northwest corner of the building and ask for roll.
Waite.
Here.
Sock. Here. Simonson.
Here.
Hupkey. Here. Hoffert.
Here.
Kuby. Griffith.
Here.
Keach.
Here.
Ronfelt.
Here.
Ask for approval of the full agenda.
Move to approve.
A motion and a second.
All commission members present voting in the affirmative. Motion carries.
In consideration of approval of the minutes from the August 19th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting.
Second.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second.
All commission members present voting in the affirmative. Motion carries.
Okay, and at this time, I'll open up the public hearings for item number 6 and number 8 due to their correspondence.
You want to specify what the items are?
The items are the consideration of the recommendation, a public hearing at the request of Thomas Kilty to consider a zoning change from R1 to RR on property located directly south of 215 Jackson Avenue. And item number 8, the public hearing request at the request of Thomas Kilty for conditional use permit for the keeping of livestock on property located directly south of 215 Jackson Avenue. Anyone like to speak on that request?
You guys got any questions on Tom Filton?
Okay. If you just come up and have you sign in.
I didn't know if you needed to ask me anything.
If you would just give the commission a general, undertaking of what you're requesting.
Well, I got 3 acres back there, a little over 3 acres, and it's in a 100-year floodplain. And when I bought the property, it was outside of city limits. That was in 1986. And so I kept horses back there and farted around with different little livestocks. And I didn't know that in 21 you guys moved the city limits to Sherwood Road. And so then I put all new fence in there, all new posts. And when Schroeder was surveying, he suggested that I survey or a split, just make that one lot. And then I put a 50-foot easement to the west of my property off of Jackson. So that way somebody could always have access back there. So, and I can't really do anything with the land because it's in a 100-year floodplain. And right behind that is federally protected wetlands. So I thought it was just a kind of a little hobby so I can have something to do and feed my cow. And so I was thinking, I would never go, I'm going to get a special use permit, so I just get a couple cows or something. No, I don't want any more than that.
You've had livestock back there previously?
Yeah, I had horses back there for probably 30 years, and if I would have known that if I come to find out, if I would have kept my livestock back there when when they moved the lot line, I would have been grandfathered in, but I didn't know that the city limits got moved.
I don't know if this is a question for you or one of these two, but what happens with waste runoff?
Well, there's,
And how does that work? Because I see there's a creek behind there, and,
well, there's a slough that feeds from
Yeah.
Elkhorn, but with one or two, I mean, there's no, I mean, it's, pretty minimal. With a couple of cows can't poop that much. You know, I'm not trying to do 50 head or something, you know.
Val, can you speak on the whole grandfathering in of things, and if he, had things there before, as to when was he given an opportunity to, hey, yeah, you can have these, but once they're gone, they're gone.
So, you said you had them for about 30 years, would put you about at '06 then, for '86 to '06, so.
Probably, yeah.
So they've been gone almost 20 years, 18 to 20 years. You have 1 year in which to keep a grandfathered nonconformity, essentially. So once they were gone, for 12 months or more, you can't put back something that doesn't belong and fit in that residential area, and it's R1 zoned. And R1 is generally single-family, two-family, smaller lots. The only thing that's close to livestock being allowed in there happened a couple years ago with up to 4 chickens, if you get a permit and your neighbors all say yes. So that's why, when we got a complaint earlier this year that there were cows back there, we had a chat with you and said, well, it's R1 zoning. The grandfathering is no longer there with livestock animals. And so we gave you to let you finish them off till the end of the month to take them to the locker. Or if this passes, this would be the only way in which to get livestock there, is to actually rezone out of R1 to rural residential. And then if that does pass, the conditional use permit that belongs with it, with that request, the most you could ever have is 2, because it's 1 livestock for the first acre and then 1 for every 2 acres thereafter. So at the most you would ever be able to have is 2 if this passes. Now, the CUP does not go to council, but the zone change does. So you couldn't actually pass the CUP until you know what goes on with city council, because you can't have the CUP without the zone change. So if that makes sense too, I just wanted to let you know about that. And I guess I can bring up the zoning map if that would help people. So it would be right here is what we're talking about. And there's kind of the area.
So the next part of rural residential isn't until you get clear down by, looks like Bonita.
Correct, yeah, because this is part of Middleman's Lake here that has not been changed over to R1, R2 yet. And then Gazelle's Lake, I think it's called, there on the east side, south of the river. And let me see if I can find city limits here for you too. Where's my city limits line? I cannot find, there we go. So there's the city limits line. And we're right about in here.
Did the neighbors have any specific concerns with it?
I didn't hear from any neighbors, did you?
I had one neighbor call that wasn't really in favor, but they're not here today.
And that's the intent of rural residential. It's supposed to be with 1/2 mile of the ETJ, so farther out. And it provides a transition of ag land to low-density residential. And is designed for use in areas that are outside city probable urban development limit.
Val, do we know of any other development plans in the area? Obviously, Taha's kind of growing that way and whatnot. Is there anything else in the area we should be aware of?
I was kind of wondering that too, because I think next to that is, there's some sign, or are they selling that property, or somebody is, the city is?
So, you're correct. Taha is, the future is to expand farther. We just either received or got a purchase agreement for this piece of property here so that we can expand farther up. I believe they are doing something with these residential properties right here, have like a 10-year option on those. Some people have bought these lots up here for residential. These, I believe, are still maybe for sale. I haven't gotten any calls from people on that for a while.
What about the property directly next to Mr. Kilty?
These back ones here,
No,
over here.
by the house. So right,
On Jackson.
yeah.
As far as I know, those are pretty much filled in lots, except for down here, unless
Okay.
they're, I'm assuming they're probably, you just don't see it on the county GIS maps, but most likely there are lots here if somebody were to want to do something.
Any other questions for Mr. Kilty? Thank you, sir. This is still a public hearing, and both items 6 and 8 are still open. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on behalf of this item? Or these items, I should say? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and open for discussion.
Just the way it looks right now, in my opinion, looks like a development may eventually go that way, and with Tahazuka there, I get how you can't build anything on it right now, being in that floodplain, and would like to be able to utilize it, but just looking out for the future development of that area makes me pause a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, because if, I mean, to me, it is pretty developed already, and, that makes it kind of a health and safety issue, in my opinion, also. But I just think it sets a precedent that, if we say, okay, we're gonna rezone this so that you can have 2 cows on there, then if 10 houses around there do that, also want that, what are we, then we're setting that precedence, and from there, I think it's a kind of a slippery slope.
I think it gets a little messy if we do set that precedent in my opinion. I understand 30 years ago, obviously you bought the property and there, was outside city limits and, it was prime ground at that point for a couple of cows as far as a hobby goes. And I think that was probably true. But then I think in '06, I just think there was, if you wanted to try it, it should have been done earlier.
If I would have known, I would have. There's no other, I got Ozzy beside me that's got probably 3 acres or a little more, and there's me, and other than that, there's not like, you can't just put a cow on a 50-foot lot, that's never gonna work, nobody's gonna do that. And I'm far enough away from Taha, even because of the slough.
When we have all of that R1 that's specifically set out to be, moving that to RR, I'm hesitant. Because that means anyone with over, an acre? Technically?
Yeah, in R1, or in RR, if you're on city water and sewer, technically you can go down to 1 acre, so potentially all the longer lots on First Street are acre and a half. They could potentially do this too if this goes through. Like,
That's kind of what I was alluding to too, then next thing you know, we have a feedlot in the middle of town.
Not saying that the intent is not there, like your intentions are not for that to happen, but this is, planning commission by basis is, future forward thinking, and again, it's just my opinion, I don't like the precedent if we move forward with it, but has there been any other discussion with the city, Val?
well, like I showed the intent of RR, it would be unusual, I would say, to put rural residential inside city limits, with the intent being it's a transition between ag and kind of low-density rural residential, honestly. And that's why we put the intent of RR to be farther out, so we wouldn't have to go past larger lots like this with water and sewer and such to disrupt these types of activities for quite some time.
And just so, I'm all about trying to give everyone a fair shake when they present something like this. If we vote this down, if that's the consensus, what are the options?
For the zone change, the CUP,
So the zone change will go to council.
yes, the zone change is a recommendation from you, so whether you vote yes, no, split vote, whatever that is, that goes to city council. For the conditional use permit, if you have a couple options. You can maybe assume the council's going to pass the zone change and send it back to us to write it. If they don't do the zone change, then it just essentially dies. You can table the CUP and wait for the council to make a decision on the zone change. If they pass it, then it's not dead from you guys. You can still write the CUP and then come back and send it back to us with conditions. Or you deny the CUP today, and if the council passes planning commission or the zone change, sorry, then they have an option to appeal the CUP to council. It's kind of a mishmash there,
Sure.
but those are kind of the options going forward.
So, given discussion, if we were to table the cup, there's still that option of us waiting for council to see what they want to do with it.
Correct.
Then we can untable the cup. If they approve the zone change, that essentially meaning they're fine with the cup. I mean, assuming, right?
Yeah, because even though we're not talking about the CUP at the zone change at council, it still needs to be brought up because the only
the-
reason you want RR is for livestock.
The intent behind it, yeah.
Yeah, so that will have to be part of the discussion and kind of explain what happened here also with the conditional use permit too, as a secondary step.
I think what I want to do and just, explain to the commission is I don't want to leave Mr. Kilty absolutely dead in the water with no options. Right, that's not my, we're volunteers, I don't want to do that. You've spent money to do this and really want to do it. But I also want to get you in front of the council who has the constituency and, it's not volunteered position at that point, but I don't want to leave you dead in the water either. So, my thought, I guess, what are your guys' thoughts on the process? It doesn't sound like we got, a couple nays on the board, that's fine. But what,
Val, could you bring up the flood map?
I agree with your consensus on that because I don't want to, I mean, yeah, I want people to be able to do hobbies and do what they want to do to live in this town, but also we have to, like Dirk said, we have to think forward and think about how this is going to affect everybody in the area. So I agree.
According to the flood map, development in that area would be difficult.
You wouldn't be able to build in the hatched area, but you would be able to build in the blue as long as you follow the floodplain regulations of building 1 foot above base flood elevation.
As
Yeah,
long as you bring in a tremendous amount of fill.
But in the floodplain area, could the park expand and have recreation in there though? Not.
you can,
Yeah.
yes.
That's, I guess, what I was thinking on that. Not that somebody would.
I
build a
don't
house.
believe, I don't personally foresee Tahoe expanding across the creek.
Maybe not across the creek, but close to, I guess to be honest, it's been a long time since I've been down by that creek, but I know. I mean, my grandparents used to live down there, so I had.
To be fair there, I don't want to shoot anybody down here. I didn't see Johnson Park looking the way it does now either. So I think we need to keep those options open because, as Dirk said, we need to be forward thinking here. I'm kind of on the page of probably tabling if it was up to me, but I think there's just a lot of unknowns there that we can't necessarily gamble on yet.
anybody else share opinion?
Yeah, I'm with you. The precedent it sets for all these on First Street, this is a good view of all those long lots that would potentially be open to the same allowance then.
So I think just for clarification again, Val, if this were to not pass on item number 6, or excuse me, item number 7, then we can then table the cup. It still goes to the council. They still have that opportunity to vote on that with hopefully more help from the constituency around them. Because there's not a lot of people here to speak on your behalf, and there's not a lot of people here speaking not on your behalf, which is not a problem. But I think it gives the councilman of that area time to speak with the constituents down there. If they don't have a problem with it, I assume council will then, pass it or not, I guess, but I would want a little bit more of we're kind of wagering on the unknown, and I don't necessarily like that.
Yeah, so if you guys want to, you'll need to vote on the zone change. So you have to provide a recommendation, whatever that is, to city council. And then, yes, you can table the cup for number 9 until you see if city council decides to pass or deny the zone change. Because then that gives you direction, essentially, that if they do not pass the zone change, it's pretty much automatically dead for you guys on the cup, because you can't have the cup without the zone change.
Okay.
And just to clarify, our motions are typically in the positive, so it would be a recommendation to move forward. So regardless of what your vote, it is going to move forward to council. Even if you vote no, it still does move forward to council, so.
So whoever makes the motion, just make the motion in the affirmative.
So before you make your motion, you are the planning commission, and, you're making a recommendation to council. If you approve it, you're saying to council, we would like to see this, not just here, but other places in the community. That your recommendation is very important to them in terms of the direction that we go as a community. It's a little bit about this, but it's also about, just how this looks around the community in terms of RR. So it's less about cattle, more about RR in and around our community. And how does that fit into the comp plan?
Right.
Is this something the comp plan wants to see? Is this something the comp plan doesn't want to see? But I think what I'm trying to say is, don't just pass it to council with either you say yes because you want to keep a window open, and so you're saying to council, yes, this is our recommendation as a planning board for the city of Norfolk to put RR here for purposes of livestock in the community.
I believe in the past, this commission has expressed that they would like to see RR on the fringes of our ETJ and not within the city limits or
Right, that's why I brought.
inside of our ETJ.
Yeah, that's why I brought the intent up, that we actually changed code to specify that we wanted to see RR in that last half mile of our 2-mile ETJ, meaning we would like to see RR being 1.5 miles outside city limits, just for those reasons that I had spoke about before of, they're usually larger lots and on wells and septics and such, yeah.
I'm good to keep moving along.
Yeah.
Okay. Make a motion to consider recommendation of a zoning change from R1, 1 and 2 family residential district to RR, rural residential district on property located directly south of 215 Jackson Avenue.
Just need a second, yeah.
I'll second.
All commission members voting in opposition, motion fails.
Now, we would need the motion on the conditional use permit.
Make a motion to have, consider to have city staff prepare a conditional use permit for discussion and action at the next regularly scheduled planning commission meeting for the keeping of livestock on property located directly south of 215 Jackson Avenue.
Have a second?
Second.
All commission members present voting in opposition, motion fails.
Thank you. Consideration of the recommendation of a sidewalk waiver requested by Monty and Bridget Broders and Mike and Carrie Wiederin on properties located at 3406 and 3500 Anderson Street. Anyone here to speak on this, or is,
Good morning. I'm
Morning.
Monty Broders.
if I can just get you to sign in there,
Oh, sure. Not Mike Weir.
and both of you for that matter. Thanks.
It's fairly a simple situation as far as we're concerned. Our builder bought both lots at the back of Cedar Lake there, so it's an older existing property there. There is no connecting sidewalks. I believe there are two houses on, I think there's one on Anderson Street, maybe halfway down, and maybe one on the incoming road where there is a sidewalk across the property. So we're just at the far end of the property. There's nobody else, no other sidewalks out there. Nobody's using the sidewalks. I think the closest city sidewalk is in the neighborhood of First and Monroe. It just doesn't seem like there's any logical, feasible way that there'd ever be sidewalks to ever adjoin to what we're putting in. So that's the basic reason why we're asking for the waiver. We don't want to spend the money, and not that everybody doesn't love scooping snow, but I really don't want to scoop the sidewalk just to go to his house. So that is, I think there's only one other lot, from what I've been told, Cedar Lake will never go past our properties. They will never develop anymore. I think there is one lot on the far side, is the only one that I'm aware of that can still possibly be purchased or from somebody and built on. So there's no future development in the neighborhood. Cedar Lake handles their own street repairs and whatnot, so Andy's has their own thing, so I'll never see the two communities coming together and saying, hey, let's put in sidewalks. All the roads leading out to Cedar Lake are all county road profiles, so they're narrow road with road ditches, so it just doesn't seem like there'd ever be the money spent and energy to ever bring sidewalks out to us. So that is from my perspective. Yeah, I agree.
Ditto? Okay. And just that you're aware that the cities can, or council can order you at some point, but that'll be in the language as far as the waiver goes.
Yes, absolutely. If there ever was, I mean,
Yeah.
if there were sidewalks out there, I'd
Presumably,
love to
there's
have
not
them.
going to ever be, but yeah.
Right.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for these gentlemen? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I think what they say makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, they're at the end, they said development will never occur past them, but, I mean, it's all slotted out for it if it ever happens, but again, it's low traffic, and if there ever was needing to be sidewalks, they can just be put in, so.
My only concern is it makes it more difficult to order in sidewalk above them Because those property owners would be able to say, well, the sidewalk to nowhere. Well, if there was sidewalk at these two lots, it would make it a little easier for council to force the rest of them ahead of them to put it in. Those have been my only concern.
Pretty much the only concern with the dreaded sidewalk waiver.
Yeah, oh yeah. I'd like to see sidewalk waivers go away.
I think we're on record of this commission saying exactly that, so. Take a motion.
I'll make a motion to consider recommendation of a sidewalk waiver requested by Monty and Bridget Broders and Mike and Carrie Wiederin on properties located at 3406 and 3500 Anderson Street.
We have a motion and a second, please vote.
All commission members present voting in the affirmative, motion carries.
Thank you. Any other open topics or concerns? Seeing none, I take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
No, we're good. It's all right. That's Martin's thing. I don't know who's gonna take it over if Martin ever leaves this commission.
I can't even say
When you take a motion to adjourn, he goes, "You're so moved." He's been doing that for 5 years.
Brandon?